No, I have a lot. I don't know why that makes me laugh. Oh gosh. All right. Everything's making me laugh today. That's good. So let's see, where do I want to begin? I titled our classes today Radical Self-Love. And I guess Susan T, you're not, you already know the answer to this, but because I used it in the first class, but go ahead and close your eyes for a moment before we tune in. And I want you to imagine someone that you love so deeply, so deeply. Your love is overflowing, that it just breaks you wide open. And then I want to ask you, is that person that you're imagining, is it you? And if not, it is, if it's so lovely someone else that you just adore, that's really sweet. May they receive that loving energy from you. But for this moment, can you go back to the question, can you imagine someone you love so deeply? And can that someone be you? It's just pouring out of you love, admiration. And then with that, bring your hands together at your heart center, rub your hands together. And steady your palms at your heart. Radical self-love is to see yourself, every part of you, as the expression of love. Om Namo Gurudev Namo. Om Namo Gurudev Namo. Om Namo Gurudev Namo. Om Namo Gurudev Namo. Deep breath in and out. Releasing your hands down, thumb and first finger come to touch, and together. Ad Gure Name, Jugad Gure. God Gure Name, Sad Gure Name, Siri Guru Deva Name, Siri Guru Deva Name, Siri Guru Deva Name. Deep breath. Hold this precious breath. And exhale. Find yourself coming into child's pose, pose of the child. Little things that we do for ourselves. Self-love. This course. I was talking in class earlier about the Tulsi plant. For Tulsi reminds us that every part of us is sacred. Tulsi reminds us that we don't have to be any more spiritual, but we are sacred. We are born as sacred. Says holy basil or Tulsi is often placed at the front of a house. It's a manifestation of Goddess Lakshmi. You're strongest when you let spirit help you adapt to the ups and downs of your daily life. For Tulsi, she allows your spirit to flow through your physical form, and so your soul is fed through your bodily senses. Tulsi reminds us that what if, my favorite mantra, what if you're holy just as you are? What if you acknowledge yourself just the way you are already as a sacred being? Radical self-love. Come on up to your hands and knees and begin to cat and cow. Move through this breath. One of the simplest things to do when it comes to radical self-love is to place something you love around you, something beautiful around you. My teacher, Robin, said that there was a woman that she was working with which had a very difficult time finding that light in her life. And Robin knew that she couldn't give her a whole bunch of things to do because, if you're in that very dark place, it's hard to do anything. She said to her, go outside and take one dandelion flower and slowly eat it and take in the bright light. Just one dandelion flower. One thing that we do for ourselves is radical self-love. Okay, do some hip circles here. And flow your breath. Go the other direction. Beautiful. And then press up to downward facing dog. Stretch out that spine, stretch out those hamstrings. Then walk gently toward the front of your mat and come into squat. Maybe a blanket underneath your heels today if that's necessary. And settle into the earth. One of the things I didn't know about plantain, which I know I talked to you all about, all these beautiful wild weeds, is that plantain is offered to children when they have failure to thrive. So in our own lives, if we have failure to see the joy, we could do something, excuse me, just as sweet as taking plantain oil and rubbing it into our bodies. Just putting plantain leaf on our bodies. Such simple things we can do radical self-love. Come down and take a cross-legged seat, please. Bring your thumb and first finger to touch in Jnana Mudra. And begin breath of fire. 3 minutes, breath of fire. If you need a tissue, need something to help you be more clear, you can do a lot of pranayama today. We're moving from kapha to pitta. So we're clearing out any leftover excess, and we're also energizing. As the full moon can be energizing for us, it can also be draining for us. It's a huge emotional release in as great of a way as it can be. Full moon energy absorbed into each and every one of us. It's so interesting. Every time I say to Josh anything, I'm like, oh, I feel extra tired today. I had massive dreams last night. He's like, oh, it's all awakening that's happening. Everything that I say, he's like, it's awakening, it's elevation, it's bringing you higher. Everything that we do, can it be through self-love? Dedicate your life to healing because it really works. We know that. We know that this works. I was telling the earlier class, and I went yesterday over to a friend's house who had a very traumatic fall a couple of months ago. And I brought all my witchy stuff with me. And she was just so happy to have little things like motherwort, the tincture, which helps us to regain that strength, let go of worry. Lemon balm, anti-inflammatory, such simple stuff. Almost there. 50 seconds left. Breath of fire, pump that navel center. And I was saying in the earlier class, it's like I look like I'm such a hero when I bring all these fancy things, but they're just so simple. They are the weeds in our yard. Yes, I transformed them into a tincture. But they're such simple gifts of nature that heal beyond. Plantain for a baby, failure to thrive for you and I when we have failure to see the greatness of who we are. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, let it go and just pause and feel. Okay, now take your arms out alongside of you, letter T, turn your palms face up. And once again, begin breath of fire, 3 minutes. Keep going. The beauty that we are, gifts that we are. Everything makes sense when we see it through love. Doesn't make sense when we see it through fear or worry or anger. Everything makes sense when we see it through love. Almost there, a minute and a half. Last 45 seconds. Reducing any of that excess that we're still holding on to from that cave of the winter, the cave of cold. 18 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Inhale. Exhale those hands down and feel. And then bring your hands to your heart center in prayer. And 3 minutes of breath of fire. Start now. Keep going, a little over a minute. This is the last in an exercise of 3. You got this. Your hands and prayers, so beautiful. Connecting, supporting, loving. If everything in our lives was done to remind us of self-radical love. Every event, every person, everything in our lives was to remind us of radical self-love. 45 seconds. Twenty seconds. So sweet. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Inhale. Exhale. Release your hands and feel. It was 9 minutes, right? 3, 3, 3. 3 very simple exercises. If you have a block nearby, grab a block. If you don't, maybe a book or something that you can go ahead and lie on your back and elevate your pelvis for a restorative bridge pose. I'm thinking about a couple of things as in this class. I was thinking about shifting it from Kundalini to a thing called, actually I have to still think of the name, but maybe Earth Keepers or something like that, where that this class is definitely Kundalini based, but other things as well. You know, working with these sacred herbs and working with the moon energy, and as we usually do, but allowing ourselves to be restorative and connect very deeply. Take this moment just to breathe deep into this body, this mind. I've been drawn to reading some books by the shaman teacher. And he talks about these 4 levels of perception. And the first one being the level of perception of a serpent. He says, as earth keepers, we learn to experience events in such a way that they no longer take life personally. They do so at the perceptual level of a serpent. Here, things no longer happen to you, they simply happen. If a pigeon doesn't poop on your car to make you upset, it simply poops and your window gets messed up. It doesn't rain on you to make you wet, it simply rains. When you change your perception of the events that you experience, you can also alter the way these situations live within you. You're no longer the cause or the effect of anything. And you sense a tremendous relief because the world is exactly as it should be. And it doesn't need you to fix it. This is the level of the first perception of a serpent. And in this perception, it's more of that idea of we see what's right in front of us. So we go deeper into our perception, but that's the first layer. Good. Now go ahead and lift your hips up off and bring the soles of your feet together and let your knees drop open. And again, breathe into a beautiful body. If you want to put a block underneath each knee, you can do that. To breathe into the soft, open belly. You know, it's funny because sometimes it just does take class to take for us to be able to sit in Supine Baddha Konasana and breathe. We don't always think to do it otherwise. So the next perception, which I just think is so fabulous, is the mind and emotional perception of the jaguar. In this perceptual state, jaguar, the mind interprets our reality. We recognize that the mind can create disease or restore health. We can create disease or restore health. And we're aware that our experiences are influenced by our thoughts and that everything isn't necessarily what it seems to be in the physical realm. Whereas in the first place of the serpent, we would see a loaf of bread as bread, but as we move deeper into these layers, now we see a loaf of bread as a field of wheat and the baker. We think of many possibilities of how it came to be. Just changing our perception, moving through the different levels. Take a couple more breaths here. And then draw your knees back together. Hug your knees into your chest. Squeeze in. Then roll up and down on your spine for a moment. And then come all the way up to sit. Place your left hand on your heart. Your right hand cups like you're holding water, and you pull that elbow in towards your right rib cage. And then you throw it over your shoulder, up and over, so you'll feel the wind pass your ear. Keep that right hand cupped. Eyes are going to gaze down to the tip of the nose, holding the left hand into your heart. Again, you'll feel that wind as it passes your ear, like you're throwing water over your shoulder. Beautiful. Eyes looking down to the tip of your nose. And your breath is very natural here. This is working a little kidney adrenal energy. Allow yourself just to release into this movement. Oops. Natural breath. Swing it back. Let it hit behind you. One more minute. Up and back. You got this. Good, and then just draw your arms down so your elbows are alongside your rib cage. Bring your thumb to cover your middle fingernail. And then you're just gonna flick your fingers. Flick, flick, flick. You're gonna go ha, 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 HAR. har, 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 har. Keep going. Ha translates to that sound of the divine, the aspect of the empowering form, God or goddess. See yourself as healthy, clear. See all parts of you as holy, sacred. Holy and sacred. Clearing the subconscious, making room to move through these different layers of our being. And then please release. And the very last is to reach your arms out in front of you. And then crisscross. Har, 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 har. Keep going. Very quick here. It's not very long at all. Moving this energy. Keep the arms as straight as you can. Keep your arms moving, but inhale and hold your breath. Keep the arms moving. Inhale, hold your breath. Keep the arms moving. Exhale. Inhale. Hold the breath. Keep moving those arms. Exhale, release. 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 Lay down on your back and rest, please. Next level of perception is the hummingbird. The language of this level is image, music, poetry, and dreams. It's the realm of myth where the soul can experience itself as a sacred journey, thus symbolized by the hummingbird. Although tiny, this bird manages to navigate thousands of miles in its yearly migration from Canada to Brazil. It never loses its sense of direction or its drive to press forward, and never wonders if there'll be enough food or strength for its voyage. We are like the hummingbird on a grand voyage and yearning to drink only from the nectar of life. And when we don't perceive our journey as sacred, we become mirrored at the level of the mind. And it's complicated analysis of the world. From hummingbird, we perceive all our experiences as part of the epic journey. Deeply rest. Deeply, deeply rest. And begin to deepen your breath. And draw your knees into your chest. And roll up to sit, stretching your legs out to a wide letter V. And use any props that you can possibly find to bring yourself into a forward bend very restoratively. So maybe if you have a bolster, if you have a block, you can lean on a block with your forearms. You can put a block underneath your forehead. Radical self-love. The part of you that stops doing for a moment, because I don't think that's what you need to do, is do more doing. I know you're just like me. And just like me, you learn to let go. The fourth level is the level of the eagle. And in this level, the eagle soars above the valley. He's able to visually take in the trees, the rocks, the river, and even the curvature of the earth. Yet he's also able to spot a mouse 2,000 feet below him. His ability to see both the entire picture and a tiny piece of it at the same time are representative of the qualities of the level of spirit. At this state of perception, we see reality is 99% consciousness and 1% matter. There's little form of substance, and the language is energy. It's called the God brain. God brain. And he says, I call this the poof state because at this level of perception, matter simply disappears. When we look at, for example, a hyperactive child, we no longer see it as an illness or a problem. There's simply God experiencing itself as the child. Change of perspective, offering that quality of radical love. One more minute here. Restore yourself. Reboot. And slowly start to come back up. Come into a cross-legged position. Roll over onto your hands and knees. Bring your right knee in front of your left knee. Gomukhasana. Right knee in front of left knee. And then sit between your heels. So Sasha, draw your right knee on top of your left knee. Yep. Separate your feet and sit back between your heels. And then make that same little wonderful block configuration in front of you and lean forward. Or if you're not using a block, just walk your hands forward onto your elbows or straight arms. If you can support your head, support your head. There's a wonderful little wild weed called Veronica Speedwell. Very tiny. And she also is everywhere. She helps with a lot of things like digestion, sore throat, respiratory health. But what's really interesting about her is she helps with circular thinking when we can't stop thinking about something. When we can't stop thinking about something that really doesn't serve us. As many times as we tell the mind, I don't want to go back there. It keeps re-looping. And I just bring this up again because it's just magical to me how something so small and so insignificant to so many will help us not to rewind a thought that doesn't serve us, to help us to stay in our sacred self. Stay in our sacred self. That's a tongue twister. Slow down. And deeply connect. Draw that navel in, rise up, and just feel for a moment the power that comes with stillness. And then change sides, other knee on top. And once again, find that beautiful place of surrender. Maybe next time we're asked to imagine someone we love so dearly, our face will pop up first. See if you can keep breathing deeply here. Feeling parts of those places inside our bodies releasing slowly, slowly, slowly. And then come on up. Feel for a moment. Stretch those legs out, shake them out a little bit. We're going to come back to cross-legged, but go ahead and shake them out. And the final pranayama we're going to do is one that I love very much, Kriya, to prevent disease. So you can come back to that cross-legged position. You're going to close off your right nostril with your pointer finger. Your left hand will count 3 sips in of breath, satanama. So it's through my left nostril. I'm going to open my hand as I exhale and internally say Waheguru. So it's satanama, Waheguru. Inhale 4 counts in. Exhale, open the palm, and Waheguru. Does that make sense to you? Yeah? Okay, so go ahead and begin. Good. 4 counts in, repeating Satanama, touching each finger. And as you exhale, repeat internally Waheguru. And let that exhale be very long and beautiful. Keep going. Keep going. 1 minute and a half on this nostril. You can let that left hand rest on your left too if it's more comfortable. Make sure your exhale is nice and long. "45 seconds on this side." Good. As you exhale here, release your hand down. Good. Make sure your hand comes down as you exhale. And we'll switch to the other side. Switch side. Now you're closing off your left nostril. Same idea. Keep going. Nervous system recharged, helping the adrenals, kidneys. Little over a minute left. Your masculine, your feminine side, your sun and your moon. To keep both sides, the Ida and the Pingala, clear and clean. Mind clear and clean. 30 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. As soon as you exhale here, release your hands down and breathe evenly through both nostrils. Power of radical self-love. Bring your hands together at your heart center. We'll call it a long Sat Nam. Inhale. Sat Nam. Sliding your hands to the space between the eyebrows. Thank you so much. Make sure you get outside to play.
Sheryl, I love the idea of bringing your